morning, guys. This is going to kick off our first official episode of Better with Becky and Sammy, where we discuss topics like diets, fitness, relationships, what really is being like a woman, makeup, and our favorite, what's going on in our juicy lives. Hi, I'm Rebecca Reese, aka Becky or Fit, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast, where things are just better with Becky and Sammy. I'm a senior at the University of Georgia studying dietetics in the Department of Food and Nutrition. And now I'm going to head over and give it to my co-host, and she can introduce herself a little bit more.
Alrighty, thanks Becca, first of all, for having me first as your first guest and your co-host. So I'm the second half of Better with Becky and Sammy, and I'm a fourth year graduate PhD student at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Go Huskers! And my research mainly just focuses on genetics, but I've always, really enjoyed fitness and living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, thanks for being one of my co-hosts, Sam.
Yeah, it's awesome. I also think that it's great that you have such a cool platform to open up the conversation and talk to other people with the same interests as us.
Yeah, I've always loved podcasts, and I've had an interested involvement of fitness and nutrition now that I'm in college, and I just want to know what other people's views are on the same, or if we even have the same views on food and nutrition and diets and the fitness community.
Oh yeah, I feel the same. I really do enjoy talking about my interests, which, one of them is fitness. And I listen to so many podcasts while I'm in lab that this is a great idea. So let's go ahead and tell a little bit about our fitness backgrounds. And since you're the host, why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
So I've always been involved in sports. Now you wouldn't think that I've been involved with ice skating and volleyball and lacrosse and weight training, now body training. So I've always had a keen interest and love for sports. But the one question that I've always had is diets and what should I be eating? And so that's what I'm majoring in college.
Yeah, no, that is completely relatable. And as you know, being sisters, we had similar backgrounds, starting off at a really young age with figure skating. For you, also was volleyball and lacrosse in high school. And now we're kind of both on our own personal fitness journeys, which isn't as routine as a normal athlete would be.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So to break a little bit of ice here, as you know, this is our first podcast. I have a question for you. Are you a sweet or savory person?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I could talk about savory foods all day, but I would probably say that I'm a sweet person. I love cookies, the soft ones. I love cake with the ice cream over pie. And I don't know, I really do enjoy tea. Sweet tea is great. Coming from the South, we know. How about you, Rebecca? Are you a savory or are you a sweet person?
Well, we all know that I am Spicy Becky from school, and my favorite quote is say, "What do you mean Hot Cheetos are not a nutrient?" So,
So what do you mean Hot Cheetos is not a nutrient?
Yeah, I definitely think that I'm a savory person over sweet, but I do have a sweet tooth here and there.
Wait, I didn't realize that one of the options was to be spicy. I think which one is your favorite? It's spicy.
Oh, well, hey, I think spicy and savory and sweet, I think they all mix up. I mean, it's the same thing in your stomach, right? Okay, and
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not the type that mixes my burrito and Thanksgiving lunches, so.
I don't know. I mean, it goes down the same mouth, comes out the same end. So,
Wow, this podcast is really going there. I like it, and let's keep
yes,
going.
we are raw, baby. We are going to dive in and talk about anything. No boundaries, no borders. We are
maybe a little bit of borders, but okay. So speaking on the topic of food, well, what goes hand in hand with food and nutrition is
stress.
yes.
Are you a stress eater? Do you
Yes,
try
stress,
food
definitely.
as a coping mechanism? And how do you deal with stress in general?
Oh, how do I deal with stress?
Mhm.
Very poorly, and it just kind of builds up sometimes, even though I know I'm not supposed to. You have should I go to the gym? Should I go to work? Should I be studying? Do I want to cook tonight? All those questions that really it's stress. You deal a lot with that with food.
I know from being me and you both from science backgrounds that we've taken pretty challenging courses like organic chem, biochemistry, anatomy and phys. And I know that you've taken a lot of microbiology courses, and they definitely raise our stress levels. And do you have a specific food that you crave as soon as the stress just hits?
Oh my goodness, Chipotle. Like, if I need to write a paper, I'm instead of writing, eating Chipotle. It's definitely a stress coping mechanism that I've developed over the past couple years. It could be healthy, but on the other hand, it might not be, depending on your order. How about you?
Well, everyone knows me not to talk to me because when the stress hits, I get a whole bag of Hot Cheetos and a White Monster. And I don't really crave a White Monster or eat a whole bag just in the day to day. But when stress hits, like, that is my meal. Like, vegetables go out the window.
Oh yeah, man. If vegetables were coated in the hot Cheeto dust though, I might eat more of them. Truth, I might.
I definitely agree. Have you seen those TikToks where they coat like cheese and like hot Cheetos? I mean, it's like everywhere.
No, I have not, but that sounds delicious. Like fondue dip. Oh man, that
Yes.
sounds delicious. But because this is a healthy fitness lifestyle podcast, how about we
Yeah,
start
true.
talking about better ways to deal with stress besides eating foods that's not necessarily the most nutritious for our bodies?
Okay, to bounce off of that, dealing with a background of like dietetics, like want to be a dietetics in school, they have told us to eat a pattern of 80% healthy, 20% fun foods, because I don't want your view of foods, or I don't want my clients in the future to view foods as a negative or a reward. I just want them to view food as like fuel to have a healthy relationship. So we say fun foods. And I think like if you stick to 80% healthy, clean eating, 20% fun foods, as in hot Cheetos or like cakes and cookies 100% of the time, I think that it's normal to eat stress foods. And that instead of turning to stress food, I think you should turn to other things that are coping mechanisms. But having a snack here and there when you're stressed, girl, it's fine. Treat yourself.
Well, thank goodness, because I definitely do treat myself, maybe sometimes too much. So I got a question with you, with your
hmm
background. So how do
hmm
you tell the difference between something that is more healthy or less healthy for your particular type of diet or your fitness goals that you're currently going for?
What I like to tell my family and friends is to eat the color of the rainbow. That could pretend to like, okay, like, should I eat Skittles? No, 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 no. So the color of the rainbow, I necessarily don't track my macros, my micros, which are your vitamins, your fats, your carbs, your proteins. I just eat the color of the rainbow. So each color has different macro and micronutrients that you should need. And so you're saying that which is the difference between a healthy versus a non-healthy food. As in, you can look at the complex carbs versus how much sugar, how much protein, how much fat that each food has. And so I like to stick to eating to healthy lean proteins like some chicken, some ground turkey, and your vegetables. If you stick to that like whole foods, then you should be pretty good. It's where you get in a little bit of trouble is when you eat like chocolate and cake and cookies and chips. hmm
Yeah, that's really good advice. Sometimes it's hard when you're shopping or at the grocery store to figure out what is more healthy, more nutritious than others. So I like to bring up something that you mentioned just now, is that you no longer track your macros. I
hmm
personally also no longer track my macros.
That is
And
right.
so let's talk a little bit about why we switched from maybe having a diet and being extremely knowledgeable about what macros we're eating to now where we are no longer doing those habits.
Yeah, so the reason why I stopped tracking my macros and micros, first of all, tracking your micros is very hard. It's like the minerals and the vitamins that you're getting in, and it's just like super hard to know how much you need or like just to keep up with it. But the main reason is I just stopped tracking my calories is because like it made me super food focused.
Hmm.
And I don't want to develop the stigma of, like I said before, food is a negative reward. It's just fuel. And the thing is, when I started like tracking my calories, it just made me really think like, okay, like when's my next meal? Or I'm not hungry, but I can eat 500 more calories. Oh, but like this calories, 500 calories of cake is the same thing as like chicken. So like I
Hmm.
was very like food focused, and that's the only thing that I had going on in my mind. And I wasn't present in day to day life. It was just very like food, food, food. So I don't want to develop that relationship with food. I want to develop a healthy relationship with food and also can like maintain those healthy habits on my day-to-day lifestyle. So what made you stop tracking your calories?
Yeah, so I believe your kind of like relationship with, let's say, macro apps is very relatable and is quite similar to why I've also stopped tracking my macros. First of all, it's because I was very numbers driven. And so if I ate a piece of gum, I would log that, which is kind of silly. So those can be sometimes the cons of tracking macros. But let's also talk about why it is so heavily enforced when it comes to looking at eating habits and eating styles. So if you don't know what a portion size of, let's say, even something healthy like corn or broccoli or sweet potato, it's really a good tool at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning to
I
learn
agree.
what portion sizes are and like what is a complex carb and what is a lean protein. Because if you don't have such an in-depth history that we have with fitness and health,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a great tool. However, I don't think it's a lifestyle tool.
I
I think
agree.
you should be on it for a little bit to kind of know uh, what a portion size is, what nutrition value something has, and then learn to back off from it, like take a step back and start to use something that I like to use in my diet of intuitive eating. So that's the lifestyle and the choice that I have switched into. And we can talk a bit more about plasticity when it comes to diets. But I'm currently an intuitive eater, um, maybe a little bit too intuitive with junk food. But how about you, Rebecca? What type of lifestyles, eating styles are you doing right now?
Yeah, bouncing off your intuitive eating, I would say that intuitive eating, like you said, is just hunger cues. Like when you're hungry, you'll eat. When you're not, you don't really focus on, or I don't really focus on what time of the day I need to eat or how much I need to eat. I just eat what my body tells me to eat. And like I said, I do intuitive eating. I know there's a whole bunch of other diets like OMAD, 1 meal a day, or if it fits your macros, or high fat, high protein, low carb, which is known as the keto diet. But that's another podcast that we can talk about. And I would just think that knowing your point of view, what diet do you think is the best out there, or do you even believe in quote unquote diets?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I can see a lot of people like if Googling, YouTubing,
Mhm.
asking their doctors, hopefully, maybe their friends, what diets they're using, or maybe some influencers on the internet. I don't believe there is a right or wrong diet, the best or worst diet for anyone. I believe that you should maybe explore kind of the diets that make you feel the best, and kind of do you, boo, as the cool kids are saying these days. And it's okay if your diets change over time. And I think the more flexible, the more plastic we can be with them, the better they are. How about you, Rebecca? Do you think,
Yeah, I totally get it. So if
yeah,
I had a future client who came into me and she's all like, I need some help with my food. Here's the thing, diets, they're not like, it's not like one size fits all. Each diet is like, each person is a lot different than one specific diet. And so what I would tell them is, okay, look, like, start off, do you know the portion sizes of food, or what type of vegetables do you eat, or proteins, or like healthy whole foods do you eat? Then I will look at their body and then go from there. I won't necessarily tell them, yeah, you need to eat 1 meal a day, because what if like you're an athlete who works out all the time, or what if like, you're a nurse who's on their feet, or a desk person? One diet's not going to fit them. So I totally agree. Intuitive eating, I think personally, is the best style, but I think it needs a little bit of like effort in the beginning as telling them like what a portion size is, how much calories like you need to maintain. And once they know that, which maybe like track your calories for like maybe a week or 3 days so they have like an idea, and then just really listen to your body, because your body is your number one tool, like your best friend. It's going to tell you like what you need and what you don't need. If you like really listen to it and get in cue with your cues of your body, I think like you should be good. And so I don't necessarily believe in diet as in what I need to restrict or not restrict in my daily day like eating patterns.
oh no, yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think we're on the same page here. But also, it's been a journey with this sort of eating style. So I completely understand. And who knows, we might change, or our lifestyles might change. We might start a new job where we might have different eating habits and different styles. So I have another question for you that I'm a little curious about. So we are not athletes, though we like to do intense workouts here and there. So if you were talking to an athlete, would you recommend intuitive eating, or would you recommend macro counting with the goal in mind of hypertrophy of muscle?
Oh, that is such a great question. Thank you, Sam, for asking me that. So, if you have, let's say, the football players at the University of Georgia, they are doing 2 days or waking up in the morning, strength training, then doing practice, and also going to the full day of school. But here's the thing, intuitive eating means like it goes along with your hunger cues. If you are burning more calories, doing more work, your body asks for more food. And so I think that you should take your resting maintenance calories. And if you burn like a lot more calories, or if you do more exercise, I think you should up everything by 20%. Super easy. So you're asking me, Becca, like what 20%? Like, what does that mean? So instead of like, okay, I like supplements to supplement your diet, but you can also get all of that through your food. But it might be really hard to down like 2 rotisserie chickens. So a scoop of protein powder is great. Like muscle hypertrophy means over time you're building muscle mass. What's muscles? Amino acids. They're all AKA protein. So you're gonna find that in your protein powder. If the athlete is very like weird on eating like chicken, what if they're vegan? You can, pea protein or like rice protein or a lot of like tofu. So I think that, and just increase it by 20% and go from there. Each person, what's going to do bad about it? You know what I'm saying? Like their carbs, you need healthy carbs to replace your glycogen storage. I necessarily won't say, yeah, you need to be on a diet for like, you need to fit into like a size extra small when you're actually, you know what, body positivity. You know what I'm saying? So I think that maybe just increase everything by 20% and tweak it from there. Your body's going to tell you what you need more of. Listen to that. And I think you're good.
That sounds really good, Becca. And we keep talking about like intuitive and how our bodies feel and listening to our bodies. But it is a working process. It's not something that you'll just naturally wake up and be like, I know what I want to eat today. So with that being said, I would like to talk to a little bit about how our perception of food has changed just kind of throughout our personal journey of food, healthy living, those sort of things. So how about you start us off with how you used to think of food, how you currently think of food, and how you would like to think of food a little better in the future.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Sam. So when I was younger, I grew up around a lot of ice skaters. Like my sister, she's a professional ice skater. And I don't know if you know that, but ice skating, they're very thin people. So when I was younger, my view of food was like food was kind of scary to me. Like food is going to make you so you don't win the gold medal. Fast forward to middle school, I found lacrosse. Lacrosse is so different. It's like weight training and eating a lot of carbs, a lot of protein. And then fast forward to high school where I did volleyball and lacrosse. And it's like, what? Like two different sports. Like, what do I do? And now that I'm in college, the stigma of, okay, the body positivity movement has gone around, but now I just like do HIIT versus like weight training. And so I have a better view of food now ever since I started Dietetics because honestly, they help me view food as just fuel for my body. And I eat a lot healthier now. When I was my freshman year of college, I was in a major nursing, which I shout out to all the nurses, but I couldn't be a nurse. And so I was very kind of sad. And so the only thing that I can control in my life was eating. And it was so crazy. I would wake up at the crack ass of dawn, excuse my language, at 5:30 to cycle. And the thing was, I was on a cut. And that means where you like restrict your calories, more than 500 calories. And I would eat like Caesar salad with like chicken and like, green beans and tofu. And I would barely eat any calories because I thought that I needed to be a size 0. But in reality, I didn't love myself. So I was treating myself bad. And now that I just, like I'm a boss SB and I'm in UGA, I just like love myself and like confidence, building confidence. Whoever thought that eating and like food can like help you with like confidence? So now I view food as fuel for my body. I don't calorie track. I don't, like if I want a cookie, I'll have a cookie. I follow the 80%, 20%, 100% of the time. And if I do some HIIT workouts, I'll have some pasta. But if I, take a rest day, I'll like eat some salads and more vegetables and more protein. So I just view food as like fuel. Nothing, nothing that. Same, like, what are your views in food now that, you've heard mine? And now that we're
Yeah.
sisters, like, are they different?
Yeah, no, yeah, great. So that's awesome, Becca. Thank you for sharing your story and your journey through how we perceive food. First of all, I'd like to shout out all of our central workers right now. You guys are killing the game, and we really
Yeah,
do
thank you.
respect you guys. So thank you very much. I also like to point out that being an ex-figure skater, the reason why you try to keep yourself very lean is just basically maintenance for your body. The larger you are, the harder it is on your joints and your backs. And I had a lot of injuries towards the end because I was never the smallest skater, but never the largest. So it was always hard relationship with food at the beginning. And it's just been a journey. And I did use a lot of the, like, say, macro apps to help me out and really shift my view of this is a bad food into this will help me with something like potassium that I need, or to replenish my glycogen storage just after a very hard hit workout that we are currently doing together on Zoom every day, or four times a week, not every day, 4 times a week. Yeah, so my food views have changed, and they probably will keep changing. So where they were before was a harsher relationship between food, body, and self-worth. Where they are now is finding a balance between intuitive eating and eating mindlessly, which is really hard. And how I would like to see my diet change or my views of food change is hopefully healthier. We'll see. When we come out of quarantine, I think that will be a good test of can we regulate our diets again with actually going out into the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Rebecca, this has been really cool.
Yeah, thanks. And I have one more question before we wrap up this podcast.
Yeah, sounds great.
So, like I said in the beginning, we talk about relationships. I know that you've been in a steady, awesome, great, positive relationship for around 2 years, and I'm single. So let me have your viewpoint on, do you think your eating patterns do get affected from having a significant other around you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I believe, though, that everyone you meet will influence you in some sort of way, either in your career or in your personal relationships. So, yeah, having a significant other is, I believe, more positive because I no longer could hold on to my orthorexic eating habits of really just how many calories this dish, should I track my almond that I just ate, into something that's more loving, like cooking dinner every night, having dinner cooked for you, going out when we used to, and sharing an experience. So food has shifted in a positive view for me because of the people I surround myself with.
Yeah, and same here. Being single doesn't mean I don't have other relationships outside of, like love interests. My friends, we all have the same, like interests in dealing with food and everything. So yeah, I definitely agree. Having like positive relationships do make you feel happy and also involves with food. So thank you for being on my podcast. And that's going to wrap up our first official ever episode with Better with Becky and
Sammy, this has been fun. It's a new experience. How weird is it, Rebecca, to talk just openly to right now it's our computer?
I know it's different. I make YouTube videos on YouTube for Becky Our Fit, and it's just a lot different. The talking style. But thank you. So today we covered topics of different eating styles, plasticity of diets, how our diets change over time, fitness goals, coping mechanisms of stress, and how our perceptions of food have changed and current eating habits and also some relationships. Make sure you like and subscribe and let us know what other topics you love to talk about us. So this podcast, you can view it on YouTube, Becky Our Fit, and you can also view it on Spotify. So thank you guys. Make sure you tune in to the next week's episode with Better with Becky and
Sammy. All right,
bye
bye.
guys. Thank you.